That seemingly doesn't work at all. Do I look really sweaty? I've decided to set myself a bit of a challenge. Over the past few years, my job has changed quite a bit. I used to be very hands-on with filming. I'd be out on shoots all the time. Because running a business and having a team, bringing new work in, that requires quite a lot of work. I've had to take a bit of a step back from that. So I thought, why not set yourself a bit of a challenge, give yourself a couple of days to pull something together. I'm gonna use this. This is a Sony SR11. It is a handycam. I bought it in 2008, and at the time it was a decent quality camera, but it was never a professional camera. It was bought to make videos of my kids. So my challenge is, just using this camera, I need to make the coolest 60-second video I can. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I'm just going to get out there, start filming, see how it comes together. Decided to do this challenge on literally the hottest day in the history of the world. Been trying to come up with ideas for what I could do. I think, I need to do something that's very visual led because I haven't really got time to set anything else up. There's no kind of documentary thing or anything I can do really. Oh, wrong way. My thinking is that I haven't got a camera that's going to give me really beautiful cinematic shots in the same way. I'm gonna have to kind of lean into using interesting angles, interesting perspectives, maybe clamp it onto the car or onto other things, get some POV type shots. And then once things start to click, hopefully I'll be able to sort of figure out a bit more of a direction for it. Yeah, we shall see. I don't know, this is made for a GoPro. Not really designed to take the weight of my dad cam. We shall see.
A few moments later.
That seemingly doesn't work at all. So plan B, the classic Manfrotto super clamp. Here we go. What do you reckon? So my first step was to try mounting it onto the wheel arch of my car, but I quickly decided that it wasn't worth damaging the car, so I switched to the roof bars, which gave me a bit more of a solid base. So in case you're wondering, yes, I am fully aware that I'm shooting a landscape video and I've got this in portrait orientation, but I thought the angle and the perspective might be fun, so let's see. I tried a couple of different setups and angles. Hare Hills, which is just down the road from where I live, has all these amazing multicultural shops and these lines of roads with terraced houses, so it gave me tons to work with visually. My last car setup was this one, clamped to my windscreen wiper. I resisted the temptation to turn the wiper on, which would have been cool, but wouldn't have been worth the damage to the windscreen. And this is probably my favourite setup. I really love the reflections of the trees and love the water droplets. So I started to have a bit of a play around with the idea of doing something kind of Leeds based, and then I realised that actually that's going to be quite a challenge, because if I want to do Leeds, then I'm going to have to show lots of different aspects of Leeds. So I decided actually, given the time constraints that I have, it'd be better to find something where I could get away with just doing some quite random visuals. And so I came up with the idea of starting with some text that just says, today will be, and then ... And that will allow me just to collect a pretty random set of visuals that kind of in some way represent a day, either in my life or in the life of the city or of people in general, and I kind of get to see how that plays out as it goes along. So next I headed to the park. This camera doesn't have the big sensor and the fast aperture that you'd normally think of to get shallow depth of field, but What it does have is a long zoom. So the way around that is to use the zoom and then have objects close to the camera, and you can still get that shallow depth of field. So my thinking was that by grabbing some park moments, I could create a bit of quiet in the midst of the chaos to kind of break up the flow of the edit. I also started picking up some in-camera whip pans to give me some nice natural transitions to work with in the edit.
We were literally talking about you as well. Yeah.
What were you saying?
We were wondering how it's gone this morning.
In the office, I just spent a while annoying people, and then I decided to try and be clever and rig up the camera to drop it down the middle of the stairs, which didn't really work, but trying and failing was always going to be part of this process. Then I headed into the kitchen. I had the idea in my head of a quiet intro, which is jolted into life by something sudden. So I went all Breaking Bad and stuck the camera in the dishwasher. I cheated a little bit and nabbed this little Aperture MT from the studio, which is really handy because it's magnetic, so I was able to stick it to the wall of the dishwasher. And I was looking around to see, okay, what can I work with? And if there's one object in the world that screams jarring, it's one of these giant Sports Direct mugs. So that was my weapon of choice for this moment. I filmed a bunch more stuff which I won't bore you with, but the next piece of the puzzle was a bird shot. I would have loved a songbird, but they're a bit too shy, so I had to settle for a pigeon. It took a lot of waiting before she decided to pop up where I needed her to be, but we got there in the end. Thank you very much, pigeon. Then lastly, I realized I needed some nighttime action for the end of the video, so I thought I'd make use of the big old zoom that the SR11 has and try to grab a moonshot.
Before this decade is out, landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth.
And while I was doing it, I spotted a fox trotting down the road, so I hastily switched on the SR11's night mode, and I managed to capture the cheeky lad just as he went round the corner. So into the edit. Because this is very much a vibes-based edit, I wanted to start with the music. I got pretty lucky, and the fourth track I tried had just the right combination of energy and edge that I was looking for this edit. So next job was selects, running through all the footage shot by shot, dropping all of the key moments into my select sequence. Once I'd done that, I brought the music track into my main sequence, chopped it up to make it work for a 60-second edit. I have a personal deep loathing for Premiere's remix tool. I don't get anywhere near it. I knew I wanted a quiet opening, a moment where the energy kind of kicks in, a break partway through, and then a build up to a satisfying conclusion. I'm definitely a pancake timeline guy, which I know isn't to everyone's taste, but I like to have my select sequence on top, my main sequence below, so I can drop clips from one into the other. I'd built up a reasonable idea in my head of the sequence of things and knew exactly where I wanted a few of the clips to sit, but you always have to leave a bit of space to see how things come together. Quite a few clips caught me a bit by surprise and ended up in totally different spots from what I'd planned. And as ever, there were a few clips I loved which I ended up taking out, but you've got to kill your darlings, and I ended up pretty happy with how it came out. So the last two stages, once I had picture lock, were sound design and a bit of grading. I pulled a bunch of sounds from Artlist and from Free Sounds, weaved them in, and then ran through and did some quick fixes to the color. I didn't want to grade it too much because I wanted to keep the natural character and aesthetic of the camera. Then it's time to review and obsessively tweak and make unnecessary adjustments, and eventually just step away from the edit. So here's the final video, which I'm calling Today Will Be. It's sort of impressionistic, chaotic, a little bit overstimulating, but I'm pretty happy with how it came out, and I think it does a decent job of playing to the particular strengths of the characteristics of the handycam, the SR11. So have a watch and let me know what you think. And also let me know what other challenges you think we could take on. Wow.